President Donald Trump was back on Twitter today, writing that it's sad to see so many Confederate statues and monuments removed from prominent public spaces and cast into the historical dustbin. The beauty that is being taken out of our cities, towns, and parks will be greatly missed, the president lamented. His tweets, coming on the heels of his insistence that many sides were to blame for the violence in Charlottesville, are pouring kerosene on a controversy that's actually centuries in the making. Trump's incendiary comments on the bloody clashes in Charlottesville, and for that matter even his election, were possible only because the North's victory in the Civil War was incomplete, and the achievements of the 1960s-era civil rights movement remain circumscribed. Both the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement are justifiably seen as progressive breakthroughs. They were revolutions resulting in the end of slavery and, later, the abolition of Jim Crow across the United States. But the very existence of the Confederate statues that Trump is now defending, and the white supremacist-fueled violence in Charlottesville last weekend, also underscore what wasn't achieved in those earlier victories, and the end limits of these revolutions. It is remarkable that scores of monuments and statues to the Confederacy, the losing side in the Civil War, were even erected in the first place. Consider that these symbols of a regime founded to defend slavery occupy hallowed public grounds, city parks, town squares, state houses, and courthouses. The Confederate statues defended by Trump were not innocent manifestations of civic pride, but intentional assertions of white supremacy. As historians and journalists have amply documented, the first wave of statues and monuments were erected decades after North had won the Civil War. As the South in the 1890s and 1900s began to codify segregationist Jim Crow laws and deployed mob and state-sanctioned violence to keep African Americans subjugated, states erected dozens of public tributes to the cause of the Confederacy. Confederate statues and monuments served as cultural expressions of white supremacy, painful reminders that the nation's racial hierarchy survived the emancipation of African Americans from slavery. The limited nature of these victories laid the groundwork for the white supremacist